Welcome to Decoding Multifamily, a video podcast that explores different aspects of multifamily operations, but more importantly, takes a deep dive into the important people that are affecting change in the multifamily space. Watch as co-hosts Suzanne Hopson and Paul Marks engage with multifamily thought leaders, rising multifamily superstars and apartment industry icons, decoding how they are doing it and doing it well. Decoding is defined as the process of extracting meaningful and useful information. So watch closely as we begin. Decoding Multifamily's Rising Leaders.
Welcome to a special episode of Decoding Multifamily, coming to you from the Chadwell Supply booth on the floor of the exhibit hall in Philadelphia at Apartmentalize 2024. My fantastic co-host, Suzanne Hopson, is with me. Unfortunately, the booth is a little small, so instead of decoding someone that we would normally decode, a guest, I'm going to decode Suzanne. So welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you, Paul. Great introduction.
So, Suzanne, you've got a rich history in multifamily. You've been in operations for years and years. Tell our listeners a little bit about your history of your titles. Then I want to talk a little bit about your journey to how you got there.
Sure. And I won't try to take up too much time to describe the 34 years that I've been in the industry. But literally, I started back when I was 19 years old. I started working at a student property in Lansing, Michigan, 527 units, cut my teeth on it. Didn't realize it was one of the more difficult types of properties to run. But I started out as a leasing agent, but they didn't call me that at first. They called me the renewal girl, which many of you know. I've told this story. I was very shy. I wasn't very outgoing, but I knew that this was something that I wanted to conquer, I guess, if you will. So I did that for about 2 years and decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to try to move up. The boss that I had was just an amazing example. She poured a lot into me, opened a lot of doors, and I wanted to make sure I was able to do that at some point. So I moved into management when I was about 22. And, through the decade, I traveled around and worked for various companies, big and small. I learned about HOAs. I learned about real estate. I got my real estate license. I worked in affordable housing. I worked in luxury. And I really just sort of moved around positions as well. I wasn't quite sure where I fit in. It really was taking me a long time to figure out what my favorite position was. And so another mentor took me under their wing and he taught me all about marketing. And it was a fairly large company at the time. They're probably 3 times the size now. And I had the opportunity to work with the owner one-on-one, and it was really an amazing experience. So I figured, I might have a knack for marketing. Yeah. And then I had other mentors throughout the years who, again, just poured into me. And my last role was actually, I started with a company where they were really small and scaling. And I started out as the director, moved into marketing, and then became property of operations, and lastly, president of the company. So it's been a wild ride.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And you did what most people do in the industry. You fell into it. I don't think there's a very small portion of people that really go into multifamily because they want to be in multifamily. Other people get into it by accident. One of the things we've talked about on the show is there's a couple of, I think Virginia Tech and Ball State University, they all have programs, and there's others as well that have programs now that are specializing in multifamily property management. And the people that go to those classes and graduate with that track are really interested in being in there. Other than that, everybody pretty much accidentally gets into it.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah. So tell the listeners a little bit about mentors. We talk a lot about mentors on Decoding Multifamily. What do you feel the mentors that you had made them good mentors? And how have you been able to mentor other people?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think throughout the years, the mentors that have, and some of them are still my mentors, that have really meant the most are the ones that would dig in a little bit further than what I would show them. So if I were hesitant or nervous about learning something new, they didn't let me just not do it. They would push in, lean into me and say, come on, we'll figure this out. You're smart. You can figure it out. We'll work through it as long as it takes. They just didn't give up on me.
Right.
And it was really powerful. When I would doubt myself, they didn't. They would really tell me about my strengths and reinforce those things. And it really helped me to understand that everybody has these feelings of vulnerability and feelings that they don't measure up sometimes. And we just need people. It's great to have someone come to you and say, nah, just keep working at it.
Right.
You'll get it. You'll
Right.
get there.
Right.
Yeah.
And as far as people that you've had the opportunity to mentor, how have you, are you getting that, the success you've had with your mentors and using that same philosophy and way of doing mentoring with them?
Yeah, I think I recognized a while ago that it was going to be my mission to do what my mentors had done for me. And I was going to open doors for people that may not be able to get to the table. It's always the discussion. Can't get to the leadership table. I'm not in the right position. How do I get there? How do I get heard? Who's going to hear my voice? And so I have purposefully done that in my career. And sometimes it doesn't work out. It's not the right path for that person.
Right.
But oftentimes it totally is. And they change. They do amazing things. And so a lot of the people that I used to mentor have skyrocketed beyond me. So it's
That's
good stuff.
That's success.
Yes.
One of the things that I remember one of our guests saying, I don't recall specifically who it was, but they said that they just wanted to be in the room, sit in the room when discussions were going on, not necessarily contribute. They just wanted to have the opportunity to be in the room, and they learned so much from that. What do you think about that advice for people?
Totally. And, it's very rare that someone will say, you can't come in and just sit and listen and observe. So it's a really great way to get in and find out, do I really want to be in the room?
Right.
And I think it also shows your supervisor, your leadership, that you have an interest in getting there, because sometimes they don't know. You may be several layers down the mix and they have no idea what your career aspirations are. And so I think it's a really good way of getting in the door, is to sit and listen to what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've gone from your last position now to starting your own deal. You got your own gig. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. HeretoElevate, a very exciting venture I've been on for the last year. Our 1-year anniversary will be July 18th. So super stoked.
Coming up.
Yeah. And it's been really an awesome journey. At my last role, I had the opportunity of learning some really great business infrastructures, EOS, Pinnacle, a slew of them. And I studied the EOS framework. I had the opportunity to sit in the integrator seat, which for those of you that know what EOS is, that will make sense. For the rest of you, it will not make sense. It's really the COO role. It's the second in command. And when I decided to make this leap, I did a lot of research. I wanted to see, is there any competition out there? What are they doing that's working or not working? And I really felt like multifamily, being in my blood and in my bones, they didn't really have anything like this.
Right.
And so how could we really make an impact, not with just one company that you work for, but several at the same time? So that was my why. And after that, I determined, it'll probably take me a couple years before I build the business enough to maybe add some people to the business. And miraculously, we launched The Bench 3 months ago. And on The Bench, it's not just COOs or C-suite fractional help, and I'll get into what all that is in a moment, but it's also specific people that have very honed in skill sets like marketing, finance, asset management, CFO work with finance. And so we have this great bench now where if a client comes in and they need our help, it's not just one person that they're dealing with. They actually have the expertise of all of those positions in the same room. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I know who The Bench is.
Yes.
And they're all-stars. It's for a company that needs that type of fractional help, to get the benefit of that roster of all-stars is a fantastic opportunity to get some knowledge and expertise that they wouldn't be able to get or possibly afford any other way.
Absolutely. There really is a particular client that we're best for. And it's really the small to medium sized businesses that are looking to scale. They can't really afford full-time expertise, a COO or, a CFO. And so we're that great injection of expertise until they're able to scale to the certain point where you can actually replace yourself in a seat.
Right.
And even help them hire an external person. So it's really awesome. And on the flip side, I think that the fractional world has really opened up.
Yes, it has.
Right? So there's a lot of opportunity now for people to do what they do part-time.
Right.
So it's good for the client, and it's also good for the person that is doing the fractional work.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, because part of what we do at the Multifamily Media Network is we share fun facts about our podcast host. And the facts that you shared about yourself, there were a couple that were very interesting. One is where you live, the house you live in. And also one was about a background, part of your background where you had a little entree into the musical industry. Tell our viewers a little bit about that.
Well, I thought you weren't going to bring that up. But okay, we'll dive in. So the factoid about my house. So during COVID, a lot of people were moving around. They were moving across the country. They were just moving. Well, we also had that itch to just get out of where we were. And so we moved 2 blocks away, not very far, but we saw this house and it was amazing. It's not an actual Frank Lloyd Wright, but it is a Frank Lloyd Wright style. It's called the Prairie style. And my husband and I just fell in love with it. And so we've spent the last several years just really making it our own. And it's been it was very tranquil, and it was a just great place to sort of lose yourself and get out of the hubbub during COVID. And it's still that way today. It's just very, it's like Frank Lloyd Wright, a lot of windows so you can see out, a lot of light. And so I do all of my hard brain work there.
Do you have any guest rooms in case I am in the city?
We do. We do. Absolutely.
But tell us a little about your musical
here we go.
foray.
Yeah. Okay. So actually this happened in the multifamily industry. Back in my 20s, we were tasked by our management company to actually do something good for the community. And the whole premise was to look at our team, identify the gifts and talents on our team, and then figure out how we could use that to really make a difference. And so we had our first meeting. Everybody was sitting around. I was the property manager. My maintenance team was there, my assistant manager, my leasing staff. We're all going around. We're like, well, what are you good at? What are you good at? What are you good at? And all of a sudden, we had this whole team of musicians. I wouldn't call myself a musician because I never sang in public before. But I did take some classical piano in my childhood. And so I had some, and we all love music. So I love music. But we had a guitarist, we had a bassist, we had a drummer, we had some backup singers. And with that, we built this band and we raised $25,000 for hospice. Yeah, it was really cool. We did a Detroit tour, we did a Chicago tour, and a couple of the people, one of the promoters of this actually owns his own company now. He's here. He's got a great product, and I hope he's not listening.
Well, are there any videos that exist of this?
No, I think this was before video.
If anybody who is watching is interested in the fractional aspect of getting in touch with you to talk to you about what their needs are, how can they do that?
Yeah, very simply, just head to our website. It's HeretoElevate.com. I'm going to spell it out. HERE, the number 2, Elevate, ELEVATE.com. And you'll be able to contact us and see all the wonderful people that are on the bench.
Well, thank you so much. It's been fun decoding you. Normally, we're decoding other people.
Yes.
But I do want to thank all of our viewers and listeners who watch this. You can find Decoding Multifamily on the Multifamily Media Network, which is on the wall behind us here. And we're so happy that Chadwell Supply is one of our great sponsors and has put together this booth, allowing our different podcast hosts to come on and feature guests and talk about the podcast, but go to multifamilymedianetwork.com to learn more. And also, Chadwell Supply, thank you again.
Yes.
We'll see you soon for the next episode.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Decoding Multifamily video podcast, and please tune in to future episodes. If you would like to subscribe to our weekly newsletter or discuss being a podcast guest on Decoding Multifamily, please go to multifamilymedianetwork.com. Thank you for watching Decoding Multifamily.